Horrible news coming out of Mexico today. Four Black Americans who traveled to Mexico last Friday were kidnapped. Of the four who were kidnapped, two of them were killed. And of the two survivors, one was shot in the leg 3 times, and the lone female survivor went unharmed. Now, let's dive into this ABC News article to get a little bit more detail as to what actually took place. Two of the four Americans kidnapped in Mexico have been found dead, while the other two were rescued alive, officials announced Tuesday. The survivors, Eric James Williams and Latavia Tay McGee, have returned to the U.S., their family said. The four Americans, William McGee, Zendel Brown, and McGee's cousin Shaid Woodward, arrived Friday morning at Matamoros, Mexico, which is the northeastern state of Tamaulipas, just south of Brownsville, Texas. Shortly after crossing into Mexico, unidentified gunmen shot the passengers of the vehicle, the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City said. The Americans had been traveling in a white minivan. The gunman hurried the four U.S. citizens into another vehicle and fled, the embassy said. The Americans were not directly targeted, Attorney General of Tamaulipas Irving Barrios said in a news conference. It seems that it was a misunderstanding, Barrios said. Mexican investigators believe that the kidnappers may have wrongly believed the Americans were rival human traffickers, a source close to the investigators told ABC News. That doesn't even make any sense. They want us to believe that four non-Spanish speaking Black Americans were confused with rival human traffickers? That sounds completely absurd. The two survivors were found Tuesday morning in a wooden house in the Laguna area outside of Matamoros, Mexican officials said at the news conference. One of the deceased was also found inside the house, and the second was found outside of it, a source close to the investigation told ABC News. Williams had a gunshot wound to his leg, said the governor of Tamaulipas, Americo Villarreal. During the 3 days they were held, the Americans were transferred to various places, including a clinic, in order to create confusion and avoid rescue efforts, Villarreal said. One person had been arrested. The 24-year-old suspect was in charge of looking after the victims inside the house where they were found, Mexican officials said. One of the survivors, McGee, is a mother of 5 who traveled from South Carolina to Mexico for a cosmetic medical procedure. Her mother, Barbara Burgess, told ABC News she had to hold my heart when the FBI came to her home on Tuesday with the news that her daughter was alive. McGee spoke with her mother from a Texas hospital on Tuesday and told her mother she had no major injuries, Burgess said. Williams, the second survivor, called his wife, Michelle Williams, as he was being transported to a Texas hospital, she told ABC News. It was tears of joy, she said. Michelle Williams told the FBI that her husband had been shot twice in one leg and once in the other. He underwent surgery in Texas for the wounds, she said. The surviving victims were transported to the port of entry in Brownsville, where they are receiving medical care at a local hospital, the FBI said in a statement Tuesday. One of the victims sustained serious bodily injuries during the attack, the FBI said. This is still an ongoing criminal investigation, the FBI said, adding that it is working with federal and international partners to determine the facts of what happened and to hold those responsible for this horrific and violent attack accountable for their crimes. The bodies of the two deceased Americans will be transferred to the U.S. on Tuesday, Mexican officials said. The State Department is in the process of repatriating the two deceased victims, spokesperson Ned Price said Tuesday afternoon. Autopsies will be conducted on the two victims who were killed, a source close to the investigation told ABC News. National Security spokesperson John Kirby told reporters Tuesday, "We offer our deepest condolences to the friends and families of those who were killed in these attacks." Price said, "We thank our Mexican and U.S. law enforcement partners for their efforts to find these innocent victims, and the task forward is to ensure that justice is done." President Joe Biden has been kept up to date on the situation, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Tuesday, adding that U.S. officials are in touch with the families. Jean-Pierre called attacks on U.S. citizens unacceptable. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said in a statement Tuesday that the Department of Justice will do everything in our power to hold those responsible for the attack to account. Now, before we get out of here, let me play one quick news clip for you just to get a little bit more information on this situation.
This morning, a $50,000 reward is being offered in the search for 4 Americans violently kidnapped in Mexico. Video appears to show a group of heavily armed men taking the victims at gunpoint after the victims crossed into the Mexican state of Matamoros, just across the border from Brownsville, Texas. The FBI is investigating the video, which ABC News was not able to verify overnight.
These sorts of attacks are unacceptable. We will continue to coordinate with Mexico and push them to bring those responsible to justice.
The State Department is working with Mexico's government to find the Americans identified as Latavia Tay McGee, Shaid Woodard, Zindell Brown, and Eric Williams.
When I found out he was en route in Mississippi.
Brown's family says they spoke to him the day before he was kidnapped.
I felt a little uneasy because I told him I had a dream. I said, so I'm just checking on you. That's what I told him Thursday. And then, like I said, Friday morning, I texted and I didn't get anything.
McGee's mother says her daughter traveled from South Carolina to Mexico to get a Brazilian butt lift. The Biden administration is advising Americans not to travel to that part of Mexico due to the risk of crime and kidnapping, putting the region and others on the level 4 do not travel list, the same travel warning issued for Syria and Iraq.
We encourage Americans to heed that advice.
And with spring break season upon us, the level 4 travel warning also includes the resort city of Acapulco. Experts say if you are visiting the area, vary your route when driving from point A to point B. Stay close to wherever you're visiting. And to avoid making yourself a target, leave your flashy jewelry at home. The FBI is asking for the public's help identifying the armed men in that video. U.S. officials reportedly believe the kidnapping is a case of mistaken identity.
I'm sorry, but I just find it extremely hard to believe that this was a case of mistaken identity and that they thought that those Black Americans who spoke not a lick of Spanish were part of a rival human trafficking gang. Like I said earlier, that sounds completely absurd and ridiculous. But that's all I got for you guys today concerning this story. As more information unfolds, I'll be sure to let you guys know. So with all that being said, that does it for today's video. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. I also have a Telegram group now, so if you have Telegram, make sure to hit the link in the description box below as well as pinned in the comment section to join my Telegram group. And also, please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as an insurance plan for myself, so in case YouTube ever gives me the axe, I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the #1 way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those of you who have issues with joining Patreon, you can also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.